In this video, I'm going to go over 4 different rules, and these are the rules of math. I like to think of them as like the rules of the road. These rules tell us what we can and cannot do, and actually most of them you probably already know, you just didn't know that they actually were properties and that they have formal names. So the first one we're going to go over is the commutative property, and it says that A plus B is the same as or is equal to B plus A. So basically what it's saying is it doesn't matter what order we put the numbers in, 1 plus 2 is the same as saying 2 plus 1. The commutative property also applies to multiplication, so A times B is the same as B times A, or I could say 2 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2. Notice that the commutative property only has to do with addition or subtraction. So the commutative property has to do with the order of numbers, that it doesn't matter what order we put the numbers in, we're still going to get the same answers when we add or multiply. The second property is known as the associative property. And the associative property has to do with grouping. And it says that it doesn't matter what order we group numbers in, we're still going to get the same answer. So if we're going to do A plus B, and we're going to add those first and then add C, that's the same thing as this one over here, which says you're going to add you're going to add B and C first and then A. Let me put some numbers in. So it's like this, 1 plus 2, and I'm going to put the parentheses around those two, plus 3 is the same as saying 1 plus parenthesis 2 plus 3. Order of operations would say we do this part first. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus another 3 is 6. And over here, order of operations would say we do these parentheses first, so 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. So we get the same answer no matter which way they're grouped. The same property also applies to multiplication, so we could have 2 times 3 times 4 is going to be the same as 2 times 3 times 4. It doesn't matter what way you group the numbers when you multiply or when you add, you're still going to get the same answer. So associative property has to do with grouping. The commutative property has to do with the order. The next property is the distributive property. And basically, we have a set of parentheses here, and we have some numbers on the inside, and we have a number on the outside. And what the distributive property says is that you distribute or you share the number on the outside of the parentheses with both of the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. So this would end up being A times B plus, because there's a plus sign right there, A times C, because I'm going to share that. The A on the outside with the C as well. Let me put some numbers in. So if I have 2 times 3 plus 4, you could either add these two numbers together first, which is what the order of operations says to do, and then multiply by 2, or we can apply the distributive property. 2 times 3 plus, because there's a plus sign right there, 2 times 4. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why would we ever need the distributive property? Because you can actually add 3 plus 4 in the first place. Well, sometimes we have situations like this, 2 times 3 C. Plus C. And in this situation, I don't know what 3 plus C is, but I can do the distributive property and distribute the 2 to each of the terms on the inside of the parentheses. So that'd be 2 times 3 plus 2 times C. And see, in this situation, I couldn't have added these together because we don't know what C is, but I can simplify this further. And we'll get more into the distributive property in one of the later videos for this unit. So the distributive property has to do with sharing the number on the outside of the parentheses with each of the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. The last property is the identity property, and it states that if I take any number and add 0 to it, I'm going to get that same number. So if I have 2 plus 0, I'm always going to get 2. Doesn't matter what number I put here where A is, whatever number's there plus 0 will always be that first number. We also have the identity property for multiplication, and it's instead of having 0, we have 1. Any number times 1 is always itself. So 2 times 1 is always going to be 2. So that's the identity property. For addition, it's adding 0, and for multiplying, it's times 1. But it means that we can do that. We can either multiply times 1 or add 0, and we don't change the value of our number. The distributive property has to do with sharing the number on the outside of the parentheses with the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. The associative property has to do with grouping for both addition and multiplication. It doesn't matter what order we group numbers in, we still get the same answer. And the commutative property has to do with the order that numbers are in for addition and multiplication. It doesn't matter what order we put them in, we're still going to get the same answer.